What's up guys, my name's Brandon and today we're going to be unboxing the brand new iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max in all four colors offered by Apple. So we have the natural titanium, the desert titanium, the new exclusive color, black titanium, and white titanium. So we're going to be comparing the colors and just talking about what's new with the iPhone 16 Pro series. Okay, so let's start with the black titanium 16 Pro. So prices are the same this year, despite the fact that we have our first display size increase in 4 years. So this is the black titanium 128 gigabyte, which is the base model. Let's go ahead and peel the tabs. And keep in mind, the Pro Max starts at 256 gigabytes of storage. So that's why it's also $11.99, not $10.99. But anyways, here is the black titanium, our first look. It's exactly what you'd expect. I mean, a black titanium iPhone Pro, it just looks awesome. I mean, you can never go wrong with a black phone. And these lenses, they don't look quite as large as my first impressions with the 15 Pro from last year. So I'm going to pull over my 15 Pro Max right here. And yes, the lenses are a little bit larger, but I feel like on the base model this year, the base iPhone 16, the lenses really stood out to me. They don't stand out as much here on the Pro models. And just for comparison's sake, here is the iPhone 16 compared to the 16 Pro. So the shades are actually a little bit different. It looks like the base 16 is just a little bit darker than the 16 Pro. Anyways, also in the box, we do have our braided USB-C to USB-C cable, and we have this little mini pamphlet in here. It's like the shape of a pill, and we have no Apple stickers. So no Apple stickers this year for the first time in a while. I've heard that you can ask Apple for stickers in the store if you want to. I didn't do that, but just know that you will not get your stickers by default now this year in 2024. So let's go ahead and take off the front of the Pro. So first impressions, the iPhone 16 Pro, it's 6.3 inches now, and it's taller than last year's 15 Pro, and it's pretty close, honestly, to the 15 Pro Max from last year, the 6.7 inch 15 Pro Max. Now, obviously, the 15 Pro Max is still going to have a bigger display, you can tell that, but it's getting closer to that range. And then also on the side, we have our camera control button right here, and you can start to see already some smudging on the sides there. So yes, the Pro is going to be a lot more of a fingerprint magnet compared to the base 16. Of course, that's because of the materials used. This titanium on the edges of the Pros does tend to attract more fingerprints, but they wipe away easily, and it's not as bad as stainless steel. Okay, so just holding that 16 Pro makes me very curious about the Pro Max. If this doesn't feel bigger in the hands, will the 6.9 inch iPhone 16 Pro Max feel the same as last year's 15 Pro Max? Let's see. And we're also going to check out the new desert titanium color. So I got this one in 512 gigabytes because I assume this is going to be my main device, unless I just don't like the color. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Peel tabs right here. The only thing I'm afraid of with the desert titanium is that it's going to be too close to natural. So it's going to be too close to the natural color from last year. And ooh, okay, that doesn't actually look like natural. So this is definitely more of a gold. And man, that looks nice. It looks very elegant, very clean. It's not too much going on here. I like this shade. And just to compare, I do have the iPhone XS Max. So this was the last time I believe that we had a gold this similar in terms of shade. So you can see the XS Max definitely has a darker shade. It's more of like a pure gold, I guess. This 16 Pro Max, the materials on the back make it still a little bit washed out. But that's just a good comparison. You can see on the sides as well, the titanium versus over here on the XS Max. I believe that was stainless steel at the time, which is why you see more fingerprints on it. And I can already tell you that the desert titanium is not going to look very gold in certain lighting conditions. Like right here under these lights, it doesn't look as gold as it probably will in lower light conditions. So I feel like this phone's going to look better in, not direct light. So we'll have to wait and see, but you can see the borders look really nice here. This is really nice on the borders. That's more of that bronze color. Now let's go ahead and take off the screen here. And I don't know, this doesn't feel, it does feel larger. I can tell that it feels larger when I go to reach up to the top, that it is larger than the Pro Max from last year with the 6.7 inch display. But in terms of actually holding it like in my hand, like in my palm right here, I'm not really feeling a lot of difference. Like I'm not feeling discomfort like I thought I would feel. I was very worried about it just being too large to really like reach the other side of the screen. You know what I mean? But I think it's going to be harder to reach the top of the screen now with the 6.9 inch display. And man, it's just so tall. I mean, even just looking at it, my first impressions are that the display is just very tall. It reminds me of that meme where you have all the alarms on the iPhone. That's what this phone looks like at first glance when you've been used to a smaller phone for a while. And you could also see the difference in the bezel size. So take a look at the 16 Pro Max on the left and the 15 Pro Max on the right. So you could see that taller display, but you could also see the slimmer bezel. So you might have to look closely on camera, but in person, you can definitely tell that the bezels have shrunk yet again. So if you pair the display getting bigger by 0.2 inches and also the fact that we have, slimmer bezels, that's gonna make a big difference for people, especially if you're coming from an older iPhone than the 15 Pro Max, which had, a little bit thicker bezels. And it's not even just taller either, it's also thicker. So you'll notice that the iPhone 16 Pro Max is a tiny bit thicker than the 15 Pro Max, and it's also ever so slightly heavier than the 15 Pro Max as well. You can't really feel it in the hands. I mean, unless you look at the spec sheets, you will not know if one is really heavier than the other, at least not in my first impressions here. And as far as the display goes, we do have the same Super Retina XDR OLED display. So we do have the 120 Hertz refresh rate, which is nice, but nothing has really changed. The brightness is the same. We do have a new peak low brightness, so you can go down to 1 Hertz of brightness now. Not really sure if that's gonna make a big impact, but we will see, especially when it comes to using your phone in bed at night. That could make a difference, but in terms of overall peak brightness, that's the same as last year. So if you just bought an iPhone 16 Pro or Pro Max, or you're just looking to buy one, you need to protect your investment by getting a good case for it. And today's sponsor, MagEasy, has you covered with not only a protective case, but also a stylish one. So this right here is MagEasy's Odyssey Ultra M. It's essentially an all-in-one case. So you have this kickstand here that rotates 360 degrees, which is great for my YouTube sessions at lunch. And it has that magnet behind it, so it works great with MagSafe. It comes with this utility strap, which I never thought I'd use, but it's awesome because it looks and feels rugged, it frees up my hands, and this little buckle here is magnetic. So I can see myself using this at like a theme park. And these bottom pieces you see here are modular, so it comes with these hanging hooks by default. But if you don't want to use the strap, you can just pop in the included shockproof corners, which will help greatly with drop protection. They also make the case a little bit less bulky. And by the way, that drop protection is military grade, up to 25 feet. So your device is going to be secure even if you don't have it on the strap. And best of all, this case is made with aviation grade aluminum alloy, so it feels very premium yet lightweight. It's not super heavy. But if you don't need all the bells and whistles, MagEasy does also have the Mag Stand 360M, which is a much more simplistic case with this nice little ring grip on the back. So if you want to check out any of MagEasy's iPhone 16 cases, click my link in the description below and use my code Brandon8 for 8% off. Okay, so now let's move on to the white titanium 16 Pro. So we have another Pro here, and I do want to compare this to last year's 16 Pro or 15 Pro as well in the white titanium. So let's see if they're the exact same shade. So yeah, this looks nice. I mean, it just reminds me of like the Arctic. I don't know, that's my first thought when I see this pure white. It looks really good. I mean, the white titanium has always been underrated. Last year, it was easily the most underrated color. I believe I said it was my favorite color right behind natural. So yeah, I think that it's going to be the same case this year. So the white looks stunning. It just looks like an ice white, very clean, especially when you see those borders. They just kind of have this shine to them when the light hits it right. It just looks really classy. And if we compare this to last year's iPhone 15 Pro, you can see that it is a different shade. So it's more of a pure white now, whereas last year, the iPhone 15 Pro over here on the right, that is the white titanium as well, but it's kind of an off-white now that we compare it to this really pure, like snowy white on the 16 Pro. I never really thought that this was an off-white before, but now I can see that it was. And you can see the difference around the cameras as well. The color there is slightly different as well. And that's where you could also see the size of the cameras, the increase in the lens size. So now I'm even more curious to see what the natural color is going to look like this year, because I'm assuming it will also have a different shade. So let's see. Everything in the box here, of course, is the same. I do want to peel this off and boot this up just to see how it looks as well. So yeah, this just looks so good with those small bezels. And here's another comparison of the bezel size on the base 16 versus the 16 Pro. 16 Pro, of course, on the right, the 16 Plus on the left. So you can see the smaller bezels on the Pro. And then also we do have the different shades of white here. So even these two shades are slightly different. So very similar, but they do have a slightly different shade to them. I would say that the 16, the regular 16, is even more of a pure white. And the reason for that is because it's just really hard to get a pure color on titanium. So that's why Apple can't really bring, I guess they can, but they don't really bring, super bright, flashy colors to the Pro lineup, which I wish they would. I wish we would get like a, ultramarine Pro. That would be amazing. So hopefully next year. Anyways, let's set that to the side as well. And let's unbox our final one, which is the 16 Pro Max in natural titanium. So last year, my main phone was the 15 Pro Max in natural. Let's see if this one is any different in terms of shade and of course in terms of feel. I'm sure it will be in terms of feel. So let's go ahead and take this off. And oh yeah, that is definitely a slightly different shade. I think this is actually slightly darker than last year's natural titanium color. So now having them side by side, it's really hard to tell a difference between the two. So there might be a slight difference. Maybe you guys will have better eyes than me to point out the difference here. I did have a skin on my 15 Pro Max. That's why this, part of the skin is still on there, by the way. But yeah, the shades are very similar. So if you're hoping to get a new shade of natural titanium this year from last year, don't count on it because they are very, very similar. In certain lighting, you can see a slight difference, but it's very, very faint. And you can see on the borders as well, very similar there. And by the way, with the Pro and Pro Max, we do have the studio quality 4 mic array inside, which means that we will be able to take advantage of the audio mix feature with the studio setting. So I cannot wait to test that out. That's going to be amazing. Stay tuned. I will have videos coming on all the features. But yeah, here you can see the two side by side, the Pro Maxes next to each other. So here's a look at the 4 colors for the iPhone 16 Pro lineup. And if I had to rank these, honestly, I think that I would put natural in last place. And it's maybe because I had natural last year. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because I've already seen this color, but it just doesn't stand out at all to me. Like it just does nothing for me when I look at it. So I think natural is going to be in last place. And then before that, so third place will probably have to be the black. I love the look of the black, but it's just not doing it for me over these other two right here. So I'm going to have to say I'll do second place for white, and then I think the desert is going to be in first place. I think it's just because it's different. I do love the shade, especially when you look around the cameras. You can just really see that gold pop on the cameras, and I can just already see that, standing out a lot when it's in a case. So that'll look really nice and very elegant and classy, I think. But I have to say white is a very close second. I don't think you can go wrong with either of these two colors. So we're going to speed through this setup process, and I do want to show you the camera control button and how that works. Okay, so we made it in. Let's go ahead and press on the camera control button. So we'll just press all the way in, and it does load up the photographic styles. We get a new splash screen here, so we'll set that up later. But let's go ahead and see how this works. So this is it's an actual real button. It does have capacitive features on it, but it is a real button. Like you could actually press in on it and you can feel the click, you can hear the click and everything. So how this works is you kind of just swipe your finger over to zoom, for example. So zoom is the default. So when you press in on that, you can swipe your finger over. You don't have to actually press in. You know, you have to put a little bit of pressure down, but not like pressing on the button. And this will adjust your zoom. And if you double press in, so if you press twice quickly, it will switch over to this menu where you can choose what you want that, control to do. So if you want to raise and lower the exposure, you can do that. You have depth, you have the cameras, so you can change between the cameras. Let's go ahead and press in on that. And so you can change between the different lenses, the 1x, 2x, 5x, or the 0.5x. And I think this will take some time to get used to for a lot of people just because it's a new feeling. A lot of times I will not give enough pressure to the button. So it will take some time to get used to, and you can press in. So if you press the button fully, it will take a picture. And then if you press and hold the button, it will take a quick take video right here. And it will end once you, release your finger from the camera control button. And I do want to take a look at record video as well, because yes, we can now shoot video in 4K 120 FPS. So that is a Pro exclusive this year, and that will be very interesting to test out. And you can see it will take up a lot of space though. So let's go into formats, because I do want to see the JPEG XL format. So if we go down to Pro RAW and resolution control, and then we go into Pro default, this is where you can change the Pro RAW format from JPEG lossless to JPEG XL, either lossy or lossless. And you can see the size difference down here. It corresponds with whichever you select. You can see that you will save a lot more space if you go down to, JPEG lossy. I will have a video coming later on explaining, why you might want to use JPEG XL over HEIF. So just stay tuned for that video, but we do have all the other typical settings down here as well. We do have spatial mode here in the camera as well, so you can shoot video or take photos in spatial mode to view in the Apple Vision Pro. And I am also very curious about the audio mix feature, so I'm going to shoot a short video and just show you the interface for that and how you might be able to go ahead and change that if you would like to. So I'm just shooting a short video here, and we're going to go ahead and edit this. So after we take it, we're going to go into edit, go into our settings, and then down here we have an audio mix button. If you tap on that, this will give you the options. So we have standard, in-frame, studio, and cinematic. So studio is the exclusive for the iPhone 16 Pro series. So you can adjust this. You just have a slider here from 0 to 100 feature. So I'm going to shoot a short video and just show you the interface for that and how you might be able to go ahead and change that if you would like to. So I'm just shooting a short video here. So the audio definitely sounds better. I can hear my voice more clearly. I don't necessarily know that it sounds like a studio. I wouldn't go that far, at least not for this short video I recorded here. Now, if you're recording in another environment, maybe, but I will have to test this. And of course, I will continue to test this over time, but that is audio mix. Anyways, that is the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max. Let me know your favorite color down in the comments below. Also, let me know what features you want to see and what features you're excited about with the iPhone 16 Pro this year. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.